September 27, 1940. Arlington Hall, Virginia. Inside a converted girls' school, a team of American cryptanalysts stared at intercepted Japanese diplomatic cables. The messages were encrypted with a machine the Japanese government believed was mathematically unbreakable. They called it the Type B cipher machine. The U.S. Army's Signal Intelligence Service had exactly 0 examples of the machine. No blueprints, no defectors, no physical evidence. William Friedman, chief cryptanalyst, had 18 months to break a code that Japanese experts claimed would take a century to crack. He solved it without ever seeing the machine. The code the Americans called Purple encrypted every high-level diplomatic message between Tokyo and Japanese embassies worldwide. Breaking it meant reading Japan's strategic intentions in real time. According to declassified NSA documents, the U.S. government considered this breakthrough impossible. The Japanese Foreign Ministry had employed their best mathematicians to create an encryption system specifically designed to defeat American codebreakers. What Friedman's team accomplished between 1939 and 1940 remains one of the most significant intelligence achievements in American history. By the time Japanese bombers approached Pearl Harbor, the United States had been reading Tokyo's diplomatic traffic for over a year. This is the verified account of how a small team of cryptanalysts solved what experts called an impossible problem, and what that solution revealed about Japan's intentions before, during, and after Pearl Harbor. February 20th, 1939. The U.S. Army's Signal Intelligence Service occupied a small section of the munitions building in Washington, D.C. Frank Rowlett, one of Friedman's mathematicians, later described in his 1998 memoir, The Story of Magic, what they faced. The Japanese had transmitted diplomatic messages using various code systems since the 1920s. Americans had successfully broken several of these earlier systems, which they designated with color names, red, orange, blue. Then, in February 1939, Tokyo introduced something entirely different. Messages intercepted by U.S. Navy listening stations became completely unintelligible. Every previous technique failed. According to Rowlett's account, archived at the National Security Agency, the team initially believed they were looking at random noise. William Friedman analyzed the traffic patterns. The messages arrived at predictable times, went to known Japanese diplomatic addresses, and followed consistent length patterns. They weren't random. They were encrypted by something far more sophisticated than anything the Americans had encountered. The Signal Intelligence Service designated this new system Purple. According to Army records, Friedman estimated they had intercepted approximately 5,000 Purple messages by mid-1939. Not one was readable. William Friedman was born in Russia in 1891 and immigrated to the United States as a child. According to his personnel file at the National Archives, he studied genetics at Cornell University, graduating in 1914. His path to cryptanalysis began when he took a position at Riverbank Laboratories in Illinois, where he worked on cipher systems during World War I. By 1921, the U.S. Army had hired Friedman to lead its cryptanalytic efforts. Army records show he had broken numerous foreign diplomatic codes throughout the 1920s and 1930s. His team's success against Japanese red machine ciphers gave American diplomats significant advantages during naval limitation talks. But Purple was different. In testimony before Congress after the war, archived in the Congressional Record, Friedman described Purple as the most complex cipher system we had encountered. The Japanese were no longer using simple substitution or book codes. They had created an electromechanical encryption device. The Americans had 3 critical pieces of information documented in declassified NSA reports. First, Purple messages began with a datetime group that helped synchronize the machines on both ends. Second, The messages contain predictable diplomatic language that might provide cribs known plaintext that could be matched against encrypted text. Third, Tokyo occasionally sent the same message in both the old red system and the new purple system during the transition period in early 1939. Frank Rowlett's team began with those parallel messages. According to his memoir, they identified roughly 40 messages sent in both red and purple during February and March 1939. This gave them matched plaintext. They knew what some purple messages said because they could read the red versions. The question was, how had the Japanese transformed the plaintext into purple ciphertext? June 1939. The team had been analyzing purple traffic for 4 months. According to NSA historical documents, Friedman made a crucial observation. Japanese diplomatic messages divided naturally into 2 types, those containing only the 6 vowels, and those containing the 20 consonants of the Roman alphabet used in Japanese Romaji transcription. Purple messages showed a pattern. The 6 vowel sections encrypted differently than the 20 consonant sections. Rowlett later wrote that this suggested 2 separate encryption mechanisms working in parallel, one for vowels, one for consonants. Friedman theorized the Japanese were using telephone stepping switches, the same technology that routed phone calls in automatic exchanges. These switches could be wired to create multiple electrical pathways, transforming each letter into a different encrypted output depending on the switch position. There was no way to prove this theory without building a machine. In his congressional testimony, Friedman stated, "We did not solve purple by mathematical analysis alone. We solved it by constructing a machine that could produce the same output as the Japanese machine, even though our machine's internal design was different." Army records show that in August 1939, the Signal Intelligence Service authorized the construction of an experimental device. 2 telephone company engineers, Leo Rosen and Robert Ferner, joined the project. Their background in telephone switching technology proved essential. According to Rosen's account, archived at NSA, the team worked in complete secrecy. They could not reveal what they were building or why. They ordered telephone stepping switches through normal supply channels, listing them as equipment for experimental communications research. The construction took 3 months. By mid-September 1939, they had assembled a device roughly the size of a typewriter desk, containing multiple stepping switches wired according to Friedman's theoretical design. On September 25, 1940, according to Army intelligence records, they tested the machine against a purple intercept from that morning. The decrypt was readable Japanese diplomatic text. Frank Rowlett later recalled in a 1977 interview preserved in NSA archives, "We didn't celebrate. We ran the machine against every purple message we had intercepted in the past week. Every single one decrypted correctly. Then Friedman made us run 2 months of old traffic to verify. Only then did we inform Army intelligence that purple was broken." The Americans had reverse-engineered the Japanese encryption system without ever seeing the actual machine. They built their own version based purely on analysis of the encrypted output. The Signal Intelligence Service designated the American-built purple decryption devices as magic. Army records show they eventually constructed 7 magic machines. 2 remained at Arlington Hall. The Navy received 2 for Pacific operations. 1 went to the U.S. Embassy in London for coordination with British intelligence. By November 1940, the United States was reading Japanese diplomatic traffic in near real time. Messages intercepted by Navy listening stations in the Pacific were transmitted to Washington, decrypted, translated, and delivered to senior officials within hours. According to War Department records, President Roosevelt received his first purple decrypt on December 11, 1940. The decrypt revealed Japanese diplomatic instructions regarding negotiations with Thailand. The intelligence gathered from purple intercepts, designated magic in official reports, changed American understanding of Japanese intentions throughout 1941. National Archives records document the specific information obtained. In January 1941, purple decrypts revealed Tokyo's instructions to its Berlin embassy regarding military cooperation with Germany. In March, decrypts showed Japanese diplomatic pressure on Vichy French authorities in Indochina. By summer, purple traffic documented Tokyo's decision to occupy southern Indochina despite American warnings. According to the declassified Magic Background of Pearl Harbor, published by the Department of Defense in 1978, the most significant purple traffic came in November 1941. On November 5, 1941, a purple message from Tokyo to the Japanese embassy in Washington set a deadline. The message stated, "Because of various circumstances, it is absolutely necessary that all arrangements for the signing of this agreement be completed by the 25th of this month." Another decrypt from November 19th extended the deadline slightly. The deadline is November 29th. After that, things are automatically going to happen. These messages were decrypted, translated, and delivered to Secretary of State Cordell Hull, Secretary of War Henry Stimson, and Navy Secretary Frank Knox. According to War Department records, Army Chief of Staff George Marshall received purple summaries daily. The decrypts revealed Japanese diplomatic intentions but did not specify military targets. On November 28, 1941, a purple message instructed Japanese embassies to begin destroying code materials. The message stated, "In preparation for an emergency, please destroy all but the most essential codes and ciphers." According to the Pearl Harbor attack record, archived at the National Archives, this message was decrypted and translated on November 28th. Senior military officials interpreted it as confirmation that Japan intended to break diplomatic relations, typically a precursor to military action. What purple could not reveal was operational military planning. The Japanese Navy used a completely different encryption system for military communications. Purple gave the Americans access to diplomatic intentions and strategy discussions, but not tactical military operations or target selection. The morning of December 7, 1941, purple intercepts revealed a 14-part message from Tokyo to the Japanese embassy in Washington. The message declared that negotiations were terminated. According to Army records, the final portion was decrypted in Washington at approximately 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, while the attack on Pearl Harbor was already underway in Hawaii. Purple continued to provide intelligence throughout the war. According to NSA historical records, American cryptanalysts decrypted approximately 150,000 Japanese diplomatic messages between 1940 and 1945. These decrypts revealed Japanese strategy discussions, diplomatic negotiations with Germany and Italy, and assessments of American military capabilities. In 1943, purple traffic revealed Japanese awareness of Allied plans in the Mediterranean. In 1944, decrypts documented Tokyo's increasingly desperate attempts to negotiate a separate peace with the Soviet Union. By summer 1945, purple messages showed internal Japanese government debates about surrender terms. William Friedman suffered a nervous breakdown in January 1941, shortly after Purple's solution. According to his medical records, archived with his personnel file, he was hospitalized for 3 months due to exhaustion. He returned to duty in April 1941 and continued leading Army cryptanalytic efforts throughout the war. After the war, in 1955, President Eisenhower awarded Friedman the National Security Medal. The citation, now declassified, recognized his role in breaking Purple and other encryption systems. According to NSA records, Friedman continued working in signals intelligence until his retirement in 1955. He died in 1969. The existence of magic remained classified until 1974, when the Department of Defense began declassifying purple-related materials as part of the Pearl Harbor Records release. Frank Rowlett, who worked with Friedman on purple and numerous other systems, later stated in his memoir, "We didn't break purple to prevent Pearl Harbor. We broke it 18 months before Pearl Harbor because it was our job to read foreign diplomatic communications. What our government did with that intelligence was not our decision to make." The National Security Agency, established in 1952, maintains the complete purple archive at Fort Meade, Maryland. According to NJ Historical Publications, the techniques developed to break purple influenced American cryptanalysis throughout the Cold War and established principles still used in signals intelligence today. The solution to purple demonstrated that mathematical analysis combined with engineering innovation could defeat encryption systems previously considered unbreakable. It remains a verified example of how a small team, working with limited resources and facing an impossible deadline, solved a problem that experts claimed could not be solved. The Japanese never learned that purple had been broken.